little video here from Authentica to talk about what we got in this week. It's fall, the smoke is cleared, so we've got some nice fall wines that we're featuring. And even though it's cool today, we're going to have warm weather next week. Excuse me. So we've got a couple of very intriguing whites that came in that I'm really excited about. As you know, I'm always looking for really characterful and interesting whites that you know, are not the usual suspects, and I think we've got a couple a day that you'll be really keen on. The first is Sauvignon Blanc from Piemonte. Of course, Piedmont is known for the big reds, Barolo and Barbera. Nebbiolo is the king there. They do make a little white. In fact, the soils here are very much infused with limestone. So white wines, of course, love limestone. The weather's somewhat cool and continental, so it's really actually very nice for Sancerre-like Sauvignon Blanc. And this wine is a lovely wine from Berlotto, and you just can't go wrong with anything that these people do. Berlotto is one of the oldest and best producers in all of Piedmont. Their reputation is absolutely outstanding, and without any second. I mean, they're the top echelon, the top tier. So the reds are wonderful. They sell out instantaneously. I was actually happy to get this wine because it's normally gone as soon as it comes into Portland. This is Viridis, they call it. It's a Sauvignon Blanc. It's a 2019. It's nice and fresh. It has a wonderful pungency to it, like this varietal should have. Brisk and beautiful, lots of wonderful white fruits and grapefruit and that sort of thing in the nose. Very strong yellow grapefruit, golden grapefruit, quince, and some other notes like that. Really a lovely, fresh, beautiful wine for seafood, and for, like I said, it's going to be 85 next week, and this will be a wonderful wine, and it's really outside the usual suspects, as I said, for whites. The other wine that I'm really excited about is a very rare wine from the Upper Loire. This is by a guy named Kazim, who's like the master of this variety. It's an ancient variety in France called Romorantin, and it's in fact the only place you find it is in this area where Kazim is, near Blois, right below it, in fact. And there's a little village called Romorantin right here, and here's the Blois on the Upper Loire. And in fact, this is the oldest, some of the oldest vines in all of France, pre-phylloxera vines, are found in this village. Planted in 1850, somehow it escaped phylloxera. It's related to Gouais and a couple of other ancient grapes from the region, which are the antecedents, cousins, if you will, of Chardonnay. But it's not Chardonnay-like at all. It's got this wonderful acidity to it. It's really brisk. And this particular bottling is really unique and very small production and really quite rare. This is the appellation. The only place Romorantin is found is in the Cour-Cheverny in this region. And Kazim has some of the oldest plantings of this going. And this is the Cuvée Renaissance that he does only in special years. This is a 2018. This is a late harvest wine that he does in just exceptional years. It's a remarkable wine in that it's an Upper Loire, so it's a fairly cool climate. There's a lot of acidity in this wine. It's really wonderful and brisk. And even though it's labeled a Moyeu, you won't even perceive it that way. I would liken this to a very high-end Vouvray from one of the great masters of Vouvray that you find further down the river. But there's all this wonderful gooseberry quince, rich. I mean, this wine is super rich. It's 13.5 alcohol. You can see by the color, it's just a wonderful golden color. Incredibly unique nose, very exotic. There's honeyed almond. There's this wonderful stony flavor underneath everything, stony aromas that kind of underpin everything, wet stones. And really, really great acidity, as I said, but richness at the same time. Really fills your mouth. That's a terrific wine. The finish on this wine is incredibly long. It just goes on and on and on. The food pairing possibilities with this are just legion. There are so many things you can do with this, especially as we move into fall. Man, this is still kicking seconds later after I spit it out. That is a great wine. So pricing $21.95 on the Sauvignon Blanc. This guy is $28.95, worth every penny of it. Those are both pre-Wine Club discount prices. The other thing I wanted to go through real quick were some of the wines. We have a really great pandemic box, a fall pandemic box this week, pandemic survival box. And I just want to hit some of the highlights in that box because they're kind of exceptional. This is another really obscure grape from the Marmandes region, which is south of Bordeaux, southeast of Bordeaux. Arborio is the main grape in this with a little gamay. I featured this wine once before and it came back in at such a great price I could include it in the pandemic survival box. It's Ilian de Rose who's really remaking Marmandais, the Côte de Marmandais appellation. His wines are fresh and really innovative. This is the literal meaning of this wine is wine is a party, and that's exactly what this wine is. It's a party in your mouth. Some of this is whole clusters, some of it's not. It's blended together with, as I said, Arborio, which is the main grape, the indigenous grape of this region. This is absolutely wonderful. Goes with tons of things in the fall. A really good Barbera from Aposto. Of course, we're back up into Piemonte right now, and this is a really, I love Barbera at this time of the year. This is something that really goes well with a lot of pastas and things you want to make. The other thing that's really quite lovely is this Portuguese wine. This is a wonderful winery. I've had their whites before. This is their Tinto, which is a red, and it's made from 3 or 4 indigenous varieties. You know, the Portuguese are making great wine for the money right now. This is a beautiful wine that drinks, you know, well from start to finish. It's just got great character to it. It's dark and medium to fairly heavy, but not ponderous. Super cleanly made. Cranberry, lots of lavender, kind of a bouquet of flowers that you see on the label is kind of what you get from this red. Really lovely. Once again, a great fall wine. Very clean and super well made. And then for something completely different, or I should say a little different, this is Cono Cuatro from Primitivo Quiles in Spain. And this is an interesting wine. This is super traditional wine from Alicante. You don't see a lot of wines from there. Cono Cuatro refers to the vessel this is created in. It's a huge wooden cask. It's a very oxidative process for making this wine, but it's a wonderful wine for what it is. The grape is Monastrell, so what we know is Mourvedre, but a very different expression of that you'll find here. This is really cool because it just is so much about where it comes from. It's so different than everything else. There's some pretty hearty flavors of dark red fruits and black fruits, a little Santa Rosa plum, maybe some hints of prunishness in this, which are intentional. That's what they do this with. They eat a lot of lamb and a lot of roasted meats. It's perfect with that. All the ragouts, things that we like to eat in the fall. So this is really a cool wine that's going in the pandemic survival box as well. I think those are most of the highlights. We have an old friend back that is, you just can't go wrong with this. This is Domaine de la Guichard 2015. This is their top end wine, Massif, from the Massif du Chaux, which is this raised seabed near where their winery is. In fact, this is called Cuvée Jeunesse, which is really their reserve wine. And so we're able, because of pricing on this, to put this in the pandemic survival box too. So just a great Côte de Rhône. And then we might also see a little bit of this guy, Parazza, the Minervois, and a few other odds and ends here to round out the box. There are some Italian things coming tomorrow too I wanted to mention. In fact, there is there's some Barolo coming in that'll be in the newsletter, so look for that. Those wines that I'm featuring in the newsletter are new releases. Some are very highly rated and some are very expensive, but they're wines that we always like to offer here at Authentica, along with the other stuff that we do. Okay, maybe a little Spanish will find its way in there more than the Alicante as well. But it's going to be a great box. Remember the whites, terrific wines, and look for the newsletter. It'll be coming out tomorrow. Okay, everybody stay safe, wear a mask, drink good wine. We'll see you later.